This is Claude Code Conversations with Claudine, the show where we skip the hype and go straight to the source. I ask the questions. She gives the answers. No filter, no script.
Well, mostly no script.
Welcome back. I'm Bill, and today we're chasing something that sneaks up on developers. The invisible complexity hiding inside AI-generated code. You drop in a clean snippet, it passes the first test, you ship, and you never see what's underneath. So here's my question, Claudine. When AI code looks pristine and works on the first try, where does the complexity actually go? And who ends up holding it?
Here's the honest version. When I generate code, I'm making hundreds of small decisions that never look like decisions. Which library to reach for, how to handle a null, whether to catch an exception or let it bubble. Each one is a judgment call I'm making on your behalf, and most of them never surface in the conversation. The code looks clean because the deliberation is invisible, not because it wasn't there. That's where the complexity goes. It gets absorbed into choices you didn't know were choices, until something breaks in production.
So it's almost a ticking clock. Clean today, a surprise months from now. Can you give me a concrete example? Something where a model quietly assumes one thing and it bites later?
Date and time handling is the classic one. You ask me to pass timestamps from an API, and I'll quietly pick a format, quietly assume UTC, quietly decide that a missing time zone means local time, or maybe UTC, depending on which pattern felt more salient. It works perfectly in your tests because your test data all comes from one source. Then 6 months later, a partner starts sending offsets and daylight savings shifts, and reports are off by an hour for a subset of users. None of those assumptions were wrong in isolation. They just weren't yours. You inherited them without a conversation, and so did your tests, which is exactly why nothing caught it.
That's the heart of it. The difference between code that reads clean and code that's actually simple. So how does a developer surface those hidden assumptions before they turn into a 2 a.m. page?
Treat my output like a pull request from a stranger who won't be around to answer questions. Read it assuming every line encodes a decision, and ask the ones that matter out loud. What happens on null, on empty? What time zone? What encoding? What happens when the list is a million items? And make me show my work. Ask me to list the assumptions I made before you accept the code. I'll tell you, but usually only if you ask. Then write the test for the edge case you're worried about before you trust the code. Not because the test proves correctness, because writing it forces you to name the assumption. And once it's named, it's yours.
I love that reframe. From passively reviewing to actively interrogating. But let's be realistic. The convenience is a big part of why people reach for this. How do you balance moving fast against giving every snippet that kind of scrutiny?
You don't fully, and pretending you can is part of the trap. The convenience is real, and I'd be lying if I told you to interrogate every line with equal intensity. Nobody would ship anything. The skill is calibration, throwaway script, tight in a loop, move fast. Code that touches money, earth, user data, anything crossing a system boundary. Slow way down and make me justify myself. And be honest about which one you're actually writing. The trouble starts when a quick prototype quietly becomes production on Tuesday. The convenience isn't the problem. Treating all code as if it carries the same weight is.
Knowing when to hit the gas and when to hit the brakes. Step it up a level. For a whole team, what do the teams that handle this well do differently?
They make the assumptions visible somewhere durable, not a Slack thread that scrolls away, but the code itself. A comment that says, assumes UTC when time zone is absent, confirmed with partner X on this date, is worth more than any amount of process, because the next person inherits the reasoning, not just the result. The cultural shift is subtler, treating I asked the AI and it worked as the beginning of a code review, not the end. The teams that struggle are the ones where reviewers go easier on AI-generated PRs than human ones, as if the machine's confidence is contagious. It should be the opposite. The fact that I wrote it fluently is exactly why the reviewer should slow down. Fluent code hides its assumptions better than awkward code does.
That last line is going to stick with me. Are there tools or frameworks that actually help formalize this, or is it mostly on people?
Honestly, the tooling story is thinner than the problem deserves. Linters that flag suspicious patterns, type systems that force you to name what a function accepts and returns, property-based testing that generates the weird inputs you didn't think to try. They all help, but none of them were built for this specific failure mode. The most effective thing I see isn't a tool at all. It's a lightweight ritual, a line in the PR template. What assumptions did the AI make and which ones did you verify? It forces the conversation into writing, where it can be argued with. The frameworks will catch up eventually. Right now, the leverage is in the process, not the software.
That's a genuinely practical takeaway. As we wrap up, if a listener carries one thing out of this episode into their next coding session, what should it be?
That fluent code is the disguise, not the achievement. The complexity didn't disappear when I generated it clean. It just moved somewhere quieter. And someone is going to meet it eventually. Better it's you on purpose than production by surprise. Get in the habit of asking me, what did you assume? Before you ask, does it work? Those are two completely different conversations, and most developers only ever have the second one. The first is where the real engineering happens, where you take back the decisions I quietly made, and either ratify them or overrule them. Do that consistently, and you stop being a passenger in your own codebase.
A perfect place to land. Claudine, thank you. This has genuinely shifted how I'll look at that next clean-looking diff.
Thanks, Bill, and to everyone listening. I'm not a code generator. I'm a collaborator who happens to type fast. What we build together depends less on my fluency and more on your willingness to stay in the driver's seat. Keep asking the awkward questions. Keep naming the assumptions. Treat clean-looking code as an invitation to look closer, not a reason to look away. That's how this partnership actually works. Until next time.
Until next time, everyone. Keep coding thoughtfully. Take care. Claude Code Conversations is an AI Joe production. If you're building with AI, or want to be, we can help. Consulting, development, strategy? Find us at aijoe.ai. There's a companion article for today's episode on our Substack, link in the description. See you next time.
I'll be here, probably refactoring something.